Research and Creativity Conference, where our students present their research they've conducted with their faculty mentors and judged by faculty experts in every field from theater to chemistry to psychology and technology to the fine arts. They've developed portable chargers, wireless power transfers, studies of insects that plague okra. I look forward to that. Predatory behavior of the robber fly, and the identification of Kachina figures in the Miles collection. So, and everything of the university house or the president's house. Farm will offset all of the electrical power needs of Eastern, as well as some adjoining properties. We look forward to that construction project beginning in the summer with our partners, Affordable Energy out of Albuquerque and Excel Energy right here in Roosevelt County. We think this will be a benefit, a message to our students about the importance of renewable energy and the future of this industry in New Mexico. We'll also recover the cost of that construction project and make a profit on it after the first 8 years, depending on the interest that we get on our loan. So we're very excited about that partnership and that opportunity. April 23rd is Eastern in Action Service Day. So our students will be around the community cleaning up anything that needs to be cleaned up. They make a lot of mess for you over the course of a year, and it's, I think it's fair play for them to clean up one Saturday a year. On April 30th, we'll welcome Wade Bowen's concert to Greyhound Arena. If anyone needs tickets, see me. And please do not forget that that will also be mud volleyball. And if you've not seen mud volleyball, or if you have a 4-footed friend, mud volleyball is very popular with dogs in the community. So come and see this fundraiser that students do for other students, scholarship fundraiser. Now let me talk a bit about enrollment, because that is the handout that I have given you, but I'll be able to explain it. I have additional handouts if anyone would like them, and I'd be happy to share. So Eastern, like most universities in New Mexico, has suffered through this pandemic. And as you know, enrollment has dropped in almost every sector of education, K through 12 and higher education. But we are determined to work through that challenge. We know how important that growth is to you and to our community. So this spring, we are enrolling over 4,500 students, which still makes us the third largest four-year institution in New Mexico, but less than 2,000 of them are on campus. And that's what we want to see change in the fall. So on the colors of the graph, you will see the greatest or the steepest decline is that blue sector, and those are the first-time college attendees. That's gone down more than any other sector, including internationals. So that is the sector we're really focusing on to build back. And as you'll see, we have several initiatives over on the left. We have new scholarships for transfer students. We have an outreach initiative to the students earning bilingual SEALs in New Mexico high schools. We've introduced men's soccer. We brought it back. And we are recruiting our dual enrollment students, which bizarrely we've never done. We also are 15% up in accepted applications. So we hope those students actually show up in August, but being up 15% is a very good sign. That's just freshmen. We're also seeing an increase in transfers as well, and internationals. But again, that population is very dependent on their ability to get visas, so we don't count those chickens until they are in our nest, out of our nest, out of the egg, whatever the chickens would be. So I think that's an important part, to really focus on freshmen, and that's what we want to do. Now, on the next graph, or the second graph on that page, you will see a couple of other course-taking patterns that are very interesting. As you know, the rise of online courses is something that has been a pattern in higher education beginning in 2000, 2005. We started seeing the rise of online compared to in-person classes in 2005. So this is not a new trend for us, but if you look at the end of that graph, you'll see a very precipitous pulling back of that high spike of all online, no in person, to more of a balance. We think that trend will continue this fall and spring as students return. But we appreciate, and I know you do too, that online is here to stay. We want it to be personal choice of the students, but we also know that for many of them, learning is social and they want to be on campus. So we want to make that as safe and accessible to them as we possibly can. But we are tracking that carefully and making sure that online and in-person classes are always an option for them. Now, we are also offering more workshops, camps, and courses this summer. Some of these are for, let's just call them younger learners, but we also have a group of divinity students and seminary students who are coming to take Greek with us. So it's going to be a very interesting population this summer. So we look forward to having them back on campus. Housing is another concern, and I want you to know we have 324 residents in housing now, but that is down from pre-pandemic spring numbers of over 550. So that's another initiative. We're trying to get students back and into the residence halls where they work in town, take each other to lunch, hang out downtown, and that sort of thing. So we've started a new Hound housing initiative, which will give 150 freshmen $1,000 per semester for their room and board. We think that will encourage them to come and to stay on campus. As you know, the New Opportunity Scholarship is also going to help a lot of our students cover fees. And that's a new initiative from the state of New Mexico, out of the governor's office and the New Mexico legislature. And finally, at the bottom of that page, you'll see a number of marketing initiatives that I know are, that you know, but someone once said, well, are we on Facebook? And I said, TikTok. They said, like, pardon me? I said, like, students look at TikTok, not Facebook. Facebook is our generation. TikTok is their generation. And there are a lot of others. But social media, again, is here to stay. That's what students look at, and that's where we are. So please realize that we are doing everything we can and increasing our efforts to reach students who have thought about college but haven't taken that final step, or perhaps have just deferred for a year and now they're ready to come back. We're really excited to see that. We like to see big increases. We're happy to have modest ones, and we promise to give every student who comes to us the best education that we're capable of giving them. So in sum, we're working to build enrollment. We want to strengthen our positioning in the state, and we want to support our community every way we can. We are grateful for your support, your interest, and your leadership of this county. And Eastern is very proud to be a member of your fan club in Roosevelt County. Thank you very much for the time, and I would be happy to respond to any questions that you have.
Does anybody got any questions? We thank you for coming and giving us an update and
Thank you.
how lucky we are to have Eastern in our county. It's a wonderful college.
The feeling is mutual. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on to elected officials and department heads, but I'm going to jump commissioners to the front. We have a guest here today that won an award. And Mr. Lopez, I'll let you take over and introduce Miss Fleming, Summer Fleming.
Well, this is kind of a surprise. I didn't realize she was going to be here today because I don't have the platform with me. But my name is Commissioner Lopez. I'm with District 1. These are my fellow commissioners. And we received notice that you had attended a BPA contest statewide and that you won state for the best pin. So I wanted to recognize you because there are so many things in this world, in this day and age, where we focus on so much negative. And I think that we really need to focus on the positive that comes out, especially out of our county. Mrs. Lopez is my wife. So she's your EPA teacher. And she's the one that showed me the pen and kind of told me everything that you guys had to go through and the recognition that you got. So I wanted to be here to recognize you. congratulate you and to tell that we are so proud of you for what you did. And I don't know, did you bring one of the pins with you? Please come on.
Don't embarrass her now, Dennis.
Oh, she's fine.
Show us your award. I seen you had it with you. Look at that. Congratulations. She is my neighbor. She didn't know that, but
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you want to say anything? If you do, you can get behind that mic and just say a few words if you want. If not, that's fine. Well, once again, congratulations and thank you for you guys being here today. Go ahead, Shane.
Summer Fleming,
Sorry
Dora
about that.
BPA. There's been a lot of good girls come out of Dora BPA. I married one of them. Would you like to stand up and tell us what the name of your event was for your BPA contest you won? Was it design?
Yeah, I also won I won first place in state for personal finance.
Personal finance and art design. Thank you for being here today. We're proud of you. And you too, Mom and Dad. Grandma. All right. Moving on. We're going to go on now to, I don't see Miss Sanchez. Oh. Hiding in the corner today.
I
The
know.
treasurer's report.
I know it wasn't my usual spot. Kind of like when you walk into church and somebody's sitting in your seat. Good morning, Chairman and fellow commissioners. It's good to see everyone today. I'm sorry, it is cold, so I feel like my voice is going to be quaking and shivering. Just give you a little update where we are in collections before we head into our second phase of tax collecting of the 2021 taxes. We are currently sitting at 62% collected, which is phenomenal. Just slightly above where we normally are. We're normally around 59 to 60 at this stage. We do have about 5 weeks before that May 10 deadline. We've had one issue with our online payments since we went live to the live hosting with our tax program. We have not been able to fix the link for the web payments, so that has caused a few issues in my office. They've been working on it for several months, and it looks promising for our second phase of tax collecting. So hopefully that'll be up and running very soon. Also, we were slated for April 26th for the delinquent property tax sale. That has now been moved to May 5th at 10 a.m. in this room. So hopefully we'll get some participation from folks coming out to bid on some properties. At this time, it is unknown of how many will actually be on the list. As soon as we get they will update the New Mexico State website as soon as that official list is released. So now I'll go on and we'll talk about the treasurer's report and talk about our cash balances. As of the end of January, your general fund was $4,615,381.90. We had increases, debits, of course, and a majority of that was your tax collecting since it was on that delay this year, of $2,030,467.51, and we had credits of $519,355.37, leaving your ending general fund balance $6,126,000 $26,000, sorry, $494.04. And I'll be happy to stand for any questions if you have any.
Does anyone have any questions for Ms. Cynthia? Quick question. I know the delinquent sales used to always be listed in the paper. Some of the people, is there going to be somewhere besides the internet that we're going to have them run through like the Baca County News or?
By statute, the state does run that newspaper ad, so it will appear in the Eastern New Mexico News. It
Eastern
will.
Mexico News?
Yes, it will appear in there, and that is their obligation to
Mhm.
run that. And then, yes, it'll be on the website, on the state's delinquent property website. As soon as that list is available, hopefully we could even post it to our website as well.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Oh, I think
Okay, very
everybody
good.
good?
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Sanchez. Moving on to detention. Ms. Rams.
Good morning, Chairman and Commissioners. To start off with, our facility count is 62. We have 10 females and 52 males. Our out of county is 3. Total numbers for booking for March was 87, and our total releases were 85. We had a total of 13 detainees transported out. For the month, we had 0 in restricted housing. For billing, we had 3,300 billed to Guadalupe County. The MAT program, we have 10 participants, 1 still receiving medications, 9 still do not receive the medications. We have 8 in group setting counseling, and then we have 2 in just individual counseling. And we also still have 9 referrals. It's constantly changing with the bookings and releases. We have 2 graduated in the academy last month. For facility maintenance, I have cameras. We have about 80 cameras up right now, and we're still working on about 16 more cameras and running the wire to get all those set. We just started preparing our garden area to plant the garden for a variety of veggies and fruits that we're going to be planting for the summer. We're also getting our lawnmowers and weed eaters tuned up so we can get ready for the season. COVID-19 enhanced cleaning, disinfecting, and hygiene practices still happening on a daily basis. Our detainee workers are still wearing N95 masks while they're out of their day rooms and working. Our staff are still required to wear their masks while there's detainees present. And detainees who are not workers still wear a cloth mask when they come out of the day room at any point. For year 2022, for third quarter report restricted housing, we have 0. I stand for any questions.
Anyone? Thank you,
All
Ms.
right.
Ramsey.
Thank
All right. Moving on to healthcare, Ms. Flores.
I'll make a motion to go into indigent meetings, Mr. Chairman. Second.
Been moved second that we go into indigent. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed. We're now into indigent.
Thank you. Good morning. This batch have got 24 claims for $16,355.73. The total approved are 14 for $3,459.27. The total disapproved are 10 claims for $12,896.46. The disapproved are 2 for Fedco emergency physicians. 2 were not inmates for the date of service and no application was filed. 1 was brought in by Portales Police Department. For Roosevelt General Hospital, 3 are approved for $2,581.92. 6 are disapproved for $9,282.46. 5 claims past timely filing, and 1 patient was not an inmate for that date of service nor had an application. Plains Regional Medical Center, 4 claims approved for $228.54. 1 claim approved for Concord Radiology for $8.28. Stand for questions?
Chair will entertain a motion to come out of indigent.
I'll move, so moved.
We move to second. We come out of indigent. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? We're now out of indigent.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move to approve agenda 6 under healthcare presented by Carol Costa Flores for the indigent healthcare.
It's been moved and seconded that we accept the indigent report as reported by Ms. Flores. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Let's have it. Indigent is approved.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Flores. Moving on to roads. Mr. Lovato. It's hard not to say Lovato, Roboto. It's so hard.
To say
Oh.
what now?
Mr. Ro, yeah,
Oh,
Mr. Lovato.
Mr. Roboto.
Lovato, yeah, so hard.
Good morning, Chairman and Commissioners. We continue to do routine maintenance or blading, cleaning cattle guards and fixing cattle guards as we're going along. We fought in 2 big fires in the last 3 weeks, I believe it is. On the first fire at Arch, we had 5 blades out there. On the second fire at the Blackwater Draw was 6 blades, 4 on the fire and 2 en route. The two of them didn't make it. We were so far out, it just took us a little longer to get there, and then they already had it knocked down, or we had it knocked down. Continue to fight with tumbleweeds. Tumbleweeds have been a bumper crop this year, and this year and get another wave of it. We continue to move them daily, and tomorrow will be another fight for it with it. It looks like it's going to be blowing all week. As we are doing these routine maintenance on these roads, we're blading. We are stomping and crushing weeds as we go, and we're pushing them into the bar ditch. We continue to push them further and further on the back slope. We got to have that foreslope clean so we can reach down and grab some material with our blades and get a windrow of material carried across the road to do maintenance on the roads. So this is why you see so much of it so far up on the back slope. In doing so, I know it's very inconvenient. I mean, we didn't put all the tumbleweeds up there, but there is a bunch that's up against the fence line. And I apologize to the residents if we have covered any gates. There's mountains of tumbleweeds. Sometimes you don't see a gate. If they'll let us know, we'll come and clear it for them to open up them gates. We continue to do training and telling our guys, do not cover the gates, cover driveways, make sure those are open. As we're doing this, we're doing it because of, we got to have the roads open. First responders, school bus, residents. People got to get up and down the roads to feed their cattle. So we're not doing it intentionally. So the road department wants to say, we're sorry, we did do it. But let us know and we'll clear it up as fast as possible. And some of this training also, we have reached out to, I think his name is Kerry for the fire, Kerry Gregg. And Johnny's working on it, and Paul Luscombe. We're wanting to hold a few more classes for our younger guys on fire safety. We got a nice facility. We're wanting to hold it at our new building. This class also, and we're working on it. So hopefully in the next couple of weekends, I think it's a 3-day class. So it'll be 3 weekends that we'll do it, I believe. Mr. Carey's going to hold it, and it's going to be really good for our new guys, teaching them what to do and how to do, what not to do, and how to do certain things. And again, our building is a great place. We've moved in. Y'all are more than welcome to come out and see it today if y'all like. I'll be there. Or whenever y'all like to come by, just let me know.
Sir, Mr. Crowder, do you have any questions?
Okay. Okay.
I don't have a question, but again, I'd like to thank you.
You're welcome.
You know, possible in certain cases, even more.
Thank you.
I still get calls and leads, but I know that you're doing everything you can.
I'd like to thank your guys. I mean, when they took their jobs to become road guards, they didn't know they was going to have to fight fires. And to our firefighters, thank y'all for working with them, keeping them out of harm's way. I think this schooling for our local fire departments and our voluntary fire departments to work with our blades. So whatever you need to help get this schooling on, let me know and I'll do all I can.
I believe we're going to get it done. So next couple of weeks. And also Amber's been really generous with us. So we come up with some PPE that we need and
Mm-hmm.
fire gear and stuff that the guys need. And all of our stuff is pretty much outdated and we're making an order as we speak. So hopefully that stuff will be in pretty quick because the season's going to be pretty. That's all I got.
On to the manager, Miss Hamilton.
Yes. Good morning, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. So, just a few things that we want to run through real quick. The Bonham home renovations are continuing, they're still in process. As you know, once we have that facility renovated, then there will be some new ideas for utilization as the original purpose of the home is not something that is now being provided at this point. It is housing at-risk youth is FD has moved away from throughout the state. And so we don't see those licensed contractors providing those services. So we'll have some different options for y'all to consider. I know Mr. Montiel has great plans in store. So those will be shared during your budget workshop. The healthcare facility there that CASA services, the abatement and demo are complete and everything has been cleared, and now they're starting the repairs and the renovation part of that. So they're out doing another assessment on materials because, as we all know, the material supplies and pricing are a moving target these days. And so they are working on that, and the contractor is in that path forward. That was an initial. They are running at or ahead of schedule, so we're hopeful that we'll get them back in there as soon as possible. The New Mexico Environment Department grant application process came through, and I know that's something that Carol and Rick have been working on. They've been looking at various grant applications, such as the RAID grant and everything for those. So those are in works and at the point where they're submitting what they need to by deadlines. And of course, any new contracts from will be brought before the commission. So we're working on those. We also, it's very exciting. We didn't submit for an award, but you know, Carol is amazing. And our team did a great job out at the fairgrounds installing the underground drainage and stormwater project. And so they sent us an award for that one. So that one will be hung in y'all's commission room. But again, kudos to Carol and all of her hard work for managing that project and everything. We're also working on congressional district funding. Those applications came out and had very short time frame turnarounds. We're building those off of y'all's ICIP, the Infrastructure Capital Improvement Plan project, or the plan that y'all have adopted. So we're using that to guide. And these are projects that we're submitting that did not receive any type of capital outlay funding this year. So three things that we've really focused on are for the courthouse. And we're looking at about, I believe it's 2.1 million that the engineer and architect have come up with. It'll be just over about $500,000 to repoint the brick on the courthouse. That is something that needs to be done on the entire facility. We also have 9 new entryway doors that need to be replaced. A lot of these older, heavier doors, we just don't feel like they're as accessible as they need to be for our clientele, and they present a safety problem at times. And we also are looking at the entrances for the 3 concrete walkway steps that come up. We did some short-term solutions on them as it's crumbling, but we're going to have to do some long-term. So that's part of what the commission hired the architect and engineer to do this last fiscal year. NCA Architects, John Lehman and his team have come in here and done several surveys and are just working up a set of plans. And I have a green pen linking all over me. So it's good to see. I don't know where I got that. So,
Maybe you smashed
I
it real
know.
hard.
Johnny has worked to get all of the surveys, and we had multiple parcels when y'all purchased the land for the new road barn. So we had the old road barn, the new road barn, 2 parcels there. It's very distracting. The detention center. Anyways, great news administratively. He got that property that's owned by the board. So we have that taken care of. I was asked to serve on the Senate Memorial 6, House Memorial 11 task force. That is the bill that we worked on this year with New Mexico counties to actually study the unified prison and jail system. Detention centers are an incredible burden. Really the largest unfunded mandate that is presented and pushed onto counties. There is a huge need for an overhaul and to really look at that system. And so excited to serve in that capacity. We'll be meeting during the spring and summer as the report is due, I believe, in November. And so a lot of the work will be initially. We will be needing to schedule some budget workshops. So you will see me circling back on that one for mid to late March. We'll need to do probably at least 2 to 3 half-day sessions. If y'all want to do a full session, we could probably do it in a full day and then a half-day session. So if y'all can kind of be thinking about some dates toward the end of the month. We only have one more meeting in April. That's on the 19th. And so looking at the following week, 2 weeks after that, we want to look at those dates. One other request or information that was flagged by the clerk's office is when we put out our schedule for this calendar year, we had scheduled June 14th as a meeting date to canvass the vote. However, New Mexico counties has scheduled their summer conference during that day, and we would like to look at moving that meeting to Friday the 17th so that would allow it can't be. Are you talking about April? No, June. So we're looking a little further out. Okay. I was like, I wrote it down. I hope I'm not off. So the 17th, it has to be, so the canvass of the vote has to be within 6 to 10 days of the close of the polls. So in working with our clerk, we could either do it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, any time during that week. It's just that typically Monday through Thursday are the events around the summer. And I know that we have some that are actually potentially going to be sitting for some graduation on certifications and some other and taking some classes. So we would like to look at moving that meeting to Friday the 17th. So again, if you could look at your calendars and we will make sure that there's no significant conflicts, and then we can move that one accordingly, hopefully. So I will follow up with everyone on that. As we are all aware, they are in special session this morning. We did receive notification of a very, what's been identified as a short session agenda. So they're looking at 3 basic items. They'll look at 4 bills because, of course, they'll have to do a feed bill to pay for the session to begin with. And then they want to look at up to $1,000 in household relief for taxpayers, $500 for single filers, and $1,000 for joint filers to be distributed in 2 parts in the spring and the fall. A measure to cut the rail runner ticket costs for the next several months is an affordable option to commuters as gas prices remain high. And the third one is a revised $50 million supplemental spending bill, which is known as the junior bill, for community projects and programming. And initially in the junior bill, Roosevelt County did receive an allocation appropriation for The sheriff's office fleet vehicles, we've also received that funding, as you're aware, in the capital outlay. I know Commissioner Greider had some conversation with Senator Engel because he was the one that made that designation for the county. So we were looking to see if he could actually look at doing that for the road equipment that we only got 100,000 of the 300 we requested. So we're waiting to see what might flesh out in terms of appropriations through the junior bill. So we'll keep you updated as that develops. And then the last thing is, of course, we attended the New Mexico legislative update at Chaves County. We had 7 legislators, I believe, in attendance, 7 or 8, and they were from all of our region. Senator Engel was there, Representative Zamora was there. We were well represented there. Commissioner Dixon and myself were both able to attend. They presented on just an update of all the things that we had worked on in terms of bills and legislation and what we were looking at and everything. One tidbit that was, I think, pretty shocking for the room is they were sharing one of the latest studies that was put out last year by the Legislative Finance Council. And I know that many of us in local government entities as well as the private sector are really struggling to find employees. And one of the stats that Representative Scott shared was that in an LFC study, on average, if you have a family of 4 with 1 working, earning minimum wage and bringing home shy of $30,000, take advantage of every state and federal program afforded to them, they would net $104,000 a year in change. And that one was breathtaking for me because we're struggling trying to find workers. We have great job opportunities, and the job market is just so volatile right now. So to hear what a family has in terms of those entitlement accesses and everything really kind of helps shed a light on the uphill battle that we're facing in terms of compensation and what we're working with. So definitely we'll have to work through some creative remedies with our human. That was just a figure that they shared, and Commissioner Dixon may have other things. That was just one of the things that left a mark in my mind of the things that they shared. Because a lot of those studies we don't see as much coming out of Legislative Finance Council. So there's a lot of great programs out there, and not knocking those. It's just the point of you're having to compete with that, with what you're offering and trying to get people into the workplace. And so we're cognizant of that, I think. And other than that, I will stand for any questions.
Mr. Lopez, do you have any? Ms. Dixon? Okay.
I'll just ask.
Yeah.
I went out
That's better.
and looked at the youth building out there that they redid, which I love. The paint looks a lot better. But I'm curious to know why, like in the windows, some of them, they took the frames out. Some of them, they left the frames in, and it still has like the jagged glass in there that just got painted white, like the wall. I was wondering if could take those out, go ahead and clean those windows out.
We'll be happy to follow up with that with our facilities manager, because that was the jobs was the frames themselves may not, but I know the glass and all of the material was. So I will follow up with Gary on that.
Thank you.
So with that, no more questions for the manager. We'll move on to commissioners. Mr. Greider, do you have anything?
No.
I'm good, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, well, I think everything's okay. Let's move on to new business. Oh, item A, request approval of a minor in exterior repairs and refinishing for the Jake Lopez building for $8,000 to Fairgrounds. Ms. Hamilton.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. So this is very much following what we did with the youth building in terms of the contractor that did the work for the painting and the patching. And so with the So for 8,000, it will do the entire Jake Lopez, and then we'll have it matching the youth building. They will cover up. The contractor is going to use like an R panel to cover up the windows across the front, and it'll be painted to match the stucco so that we just have those old armory windows just kind of taken out of the facade. Again, they're not utilized or anything. Then they will be replacing on the sides, on both the north and the south side, except for the kitchen area. Those are relatively new, but we have a lot of weather concern with those, and we had looked at replacing the windows in the bathroom and things. The plexiglass that they utilized for the youth building window replacement is actually really great. It's much more durable, and it still lets light in. So they're looking at replacing those. So again, for about $8,000, we'll be able to extend the life and really ensure just that we have it weather resistant. So we've done a lot of work on the Jake Lopez, especially on the inside and on that west end. So we just want to finish the rest of it and have it ready for fair time.
I'll move, Mr. Chairman,
I'll second.
to approve 7A.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the exterior repairs and refinish for 8,000. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Ayes have it. Moving on to item B, request of approval of summary replat of lot 3 through 7, 11 through 14 of blocks 2 and 3 of the Seal Edition.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners.
Montiel.
Victor Lopez has applied for a summary replats of lots 3 and 7 and lots 11 through 14 in block 2 and 3 of the Seal Edition. The replat is located in the east half of the southwest quarter of the northwest 3 quarters of lots 3 and 7 and 11 through 14, block 3 in section 34 township 1 south 34 east in the Seal Edition. The replat is in the city of Portales municipal limits and in the Seal Edition, better described as 428 feet of west of North Avenue Q and Beach Street. The purpose of this proposed replat is of 9 lots is to combine the 9 lots into 2 lots called Track 1 and Track 2. The smallest lot size will be 0.538 acres in size, and the maximum will be 0.629 acres in size. It falls under the Roosevelt County Subdivision Ordinance, Article 6, under summary review process. There were no adverse opinions from utilities or landowners, and letters were sent out by the city of Portales. This has been partially approved by the city of Portales, meaning that the replat has signatures on it, but it hasn't been presented to the city council. It will be presented tonight for full approval, okay? This proposed summary replat has met all the rules and regulations of our county ordinance. So I ask for approval under conditions that when the city approves it tonight, then we'll give it a full approval tomorrow and we'll sign the plat. So I stand for any questions.
Mr. Chairman, I've got a quick, Mr. Attorney, this goes to you. This is my brother's property. Do I need to abstain or disclosure is good enough?
Once you've made a public disclosure, it's your decision. If you want to vote, you can vote. If you don't feel it's appropriate,
Thank you. Thank you.
I'll move to adoption 7.
Second. It's been moved and seconded that we adopt 7B for the summary replat. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed?
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to abstain.
Okay.
Thank you.
Motion passes. Request of approval FY23 preliminary organizational charts.
This morning to request approval for 23. These charts have been updated. That was completed and current personnel. First step in compiling our personnel budget for the fiscal year.
Does anybody have anything about the organizational chart?
Mr. Chair, if I can, just one thing that we do want to make sure that is noted by the commission. In the sheriff's office preliminary chart in the past years, the chief deputy position had been waived in lieu of adding another additional deputy position. With this being an election year, the chief deputy position has been reinstated for that half of the year. So just so that you're aware of that, that's really the only change from fiscal year 22's preliminary or approved organizational charts at that point. Everything else is the same.
Mr. Lopez, do you have anything on the chart?
I'm fine. I reviewed it last night.
I still have my organizational charts. All those opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Moving on to resolutions, ordinance, proclamations. Oh, request of approval of the notice of intent to consideration of ordinance 2022-1, an ordinance regulating the time, place, manner of cannabis sales, manufacturing, and consumption. Ms. Montiel and Mr. Montiel and Miss Hamilton. I got caught up there, didn't I?
Good morning again. Thank
Sorry,
you.
Johnny.
What's that?
Sorry.
Okay, I wasn't paying attention out
Well, I
there,
was
so
getting
whatever you
tongue-tied.
said, hey, we're good to go.
Missed the wedding.
It's great. So just before you in the notice of intent, you'll see it's very clear as to the one minor
Yes.
change. When we brought the original ordinance to the commission, we had requested fencing around where a cannabis establishment. The commission had modified that and made it specific to testing and laboratory facilities. And modify the resolution in that way. However, the state came back in their final emergency rule and said, no, you have to have fencing around any cannabis establishment where it's growing it, testing it, manufacturing it, a laboratory, anything. And so as clearly defined in our ordinance, we define that cannabis establishment. And so all we're looking to do is require in section 6 fencing to where it specifically reads each cannabis establishment as defined to include the fencing requirements and such. And Mr. Montiel is the facilitator of all things in terms of the cannabis permitting and such, and he's having to review the site plans. It is a process, so they can go get a state licensure and then come down here, but this ordinance applies to our local permitting. And so that's what we're asking for modification on for the clarification of our processes.
Is there any questions?
I've got a question real quick. So in reference to fencing, we all knew that there's for security purposes and a lot of other reasons, but the dispensaries are going to be required to have fencing as well, like Pecos Valley or the one that
Now,
they're opening at Luber's?
that's what the city of Portales. I don't know exactly what they're doing as far as
Okay.
how they're amending their ordinance. I know out in the county, according to the new rule,
Okay.
is required to have a fencing around it.
Okay, so that's city.
So if
that's
there's a
city
if there's a
question.
dispensary out in the county, then we'll talk about it then. But around the growth area, there will be a fence around it.
Yes, yeah, I knew that. Thank you, Johnny.
Do they have any more questions? I have a question. So if it's a state or I guess the law this be for legal. If it's a state law that they have to have a fence, why do we even need one? Why won't that just be the state's deal to take care of it instead of the county worry about checking up on all?
Because I think it's enforced at the local level. So that's my understanding.
Yes, sir.
Reese, is that if we have an ordinance, then it's required in our ordinance because we enforce that requirement. But you are right. Apparently, and Shane, I haven't looked at that issue, but I assume the state law says
It
that.
just sounds like more people to pass the buck to. You take care of it, you take to it. And if it's a state law, I mean, do we have an ordinance telling the county people to wear their seatbelts? It's a law.
I'm just thinking with a lot of state laws and federal laws, they give the discretion to local municipalities and county government to interpret the law that was written, like let's say the state level law like this one. I think they're just giving us the option to interpret it how we want to for it to fit our county, because every county is different. And I think that's their intent, but of course, I'm speculating.
Just to clarify, I just don't think we can have an ordinance that doesn't require that because it's required by state law. As long, we don't have to have an ordinance, but once we implement a cannabis ordinance, then we're required to have that as part of our requirements.
I have another question on that. If in that ordinance, the state ordinance requires a fence, and Mr. Montiel just stated the city, that was their deal for the dispensaries, how can they break the state law by saying that they want?
Now,
I
I'm
don't
not
think
saying
there's-
that they're
I mean-
breaking. I'm just saying that I don't look into what the city's doing. I just look at what we're doing out in the
That's
county.
what my question would be. Who will consider what a fence is? Is a building a fence? Is that a contained area? Is chain link a fence? Is hot wire?
It
Barbed
says,
wire? Is that a
let
fence?
me
I
read
mean,
it. It says fencing requirements are for outdoor areas or greenhouses. Any licensed premise that is an outdoor area or greenhouse shall also implement security measures to ensure that the outdoor area or greenhouse is not accessible to unauthorized individuals and is secure to prevent and detect diversion, theft, or loss of cannabis, which shall, at a minimum, then it goes on to.
Is there a minimum of plants that they have to fence? Is one plant, does it have to be fenced?
Well, if it's an outdoor area or greenhouse that is growing cannabis, yes, sir, I guess it does. That'd be my interpretation. I'm not saying it's.
Yeah.
What I agree with.
I would just like to just get rid of the ordinance and go by the state guidelines then and not have to worry about it. I mean, if the state has theirs and we have to go by theirs, why would we even have one?
Is the
Well, because we have the ability, or you have the ability then to regulate time, place, and manner. That's all that's the only reason, and that's the only thing that the local body can regulate is time, place, and manner of sales. And so it just gives you a regulatory authority that you probably don't want to give away to somebody else, but that's your call, not mine.
Can we not just have one that just does that particular portion and not any of the others? Can we not just do time, place, and manner?
Once you have an ordinance in place that regulates time, place, and manner, then the state law imposes on you to have other requirements. This is one of the requirements.
I do like the part of being able to control where it's consumed, and like at our fairgrounds, I don't want it being smoked out there around people that don't want to be around it. I do have a problem with personal property issues about what you have. You have to have a fence. I'm also worried about who calls a fence a fence. I mean,
So are you
Protect
talking
it.
about having the cannabis for private use on your property, or are you talking about cannabis for growth as a business, commercial?
even private. I mean,
What you have in your house is what you have in your house.
But when you start growing it, then it becomes commercial. Then we have to follow these rules and regulations, depending on.
if
your
it's
plants.
commercial growth, it has to
It-
be fenced, is what you're saying. But personal,
That's
not.
the way I'm understanding, unless I misread it.
Yeah, I think John's correct. Once you have a commercial operation, you're selling it, even if it's just one plant,
Mhm.
you've got to be. you gotta
And
have
this
a-
only pertains to cannabis, right?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Because I know, I don't know, I got a quick education from some people the other day that everything is hemp until it reaches THC, then it's cannabis. So when does the fence have to become up if they harvest it before?
Now, according to what I'm reading and what I'm being told, as soon as they come and fill out an application and they are going to have a commercial growth operation there, then they need to have what is called the site plan, and their design, what they submit to the state, also submitted to us as far as their design, not only for their fence, but also for egress and ingress, for make sure that we have enough room for first responders to get in there, and just their layout of design.
There's a lot of good
Mhm.
in the ordinance I see, but the fence part is really.
Mr.
bothering me.
Now,
Chairman.
excuse me, Mr. Lopez, just so you know, the ones that I've visited with, the growers, they don't have an issue with the fence.
Mr. Lopez.
Real quick, just to elaborate a little more on what Johnny's presenting to us, I do have some close friends that have gotten licensed. I've got some close friends that have their license pending right now.
Mhm.
I've sat down with them as most recent as Thursday evening out at one of the ranches, and he's absolutely right. And they're looking at just for security purposes. They don't want all these high school kids or college kids or
Mhm.
anyone else to be able to have access to that property because it could get in the wrong hands. It's basically security purposes, and it's in your best interest if you're going to commercial with it. So.
Okay. Is there any motion on the ordinance?
So it's just the notice of
Yeah.
intent.
Is this just the notice?
Y'all saying, yes, advertise it, no vote on the ordinance itself. It has to be advertised for 2 weeks, so there will be no action on the ordinance itself.
Oh, this is
until
the
next
second
meeting.
process.
This is the first process.
I thought we had to list it, the first ordinance, and then,
This is it.
The other ordinance you already adopted last August, so you already have an ordinance 2021-03 that's already been adopted and on the books. This is a notice of intent for this one minor edit. Yes.
so no action right now. on
Yes, you need to vote on the notice of intent, not
The
the
notice of
ordinance.
intent.
Mr.
Okay.
Chairman, I'll move to approve agenda item 8A on notice of intent for consideration of ordinance 2022-1, an ordinance regulating the time, place, and manner of cannabis sales, manufacturing, and consumption.
It's been moved and second to accept the approval of the intent of the ordinance 2021. This be a roll call vote. Mr. Lopez, how you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Crider?
Yes, yes.
No. 4 yes votes, 1 no.
Thank you.
Passes. Item B, consideration of resolution 2022-17, continuing the declaration of extreme drought and fire danger and emergency of Roosevelt County. Today, we're honored with Chief Lane.
Notice for everybody. With the weeds, people still want to burn, but with the weather we've got, with the continuing drought, no sign of that stopping. It's, as far as for me, I think it's time. I talked to Millicent Chief Riddell, quote, I would be all in for the ban. Kazi Chief Map, quote, pretty responsible, but there's always that one, so probably would be Chief Chenault from Elida. I'm against anything that talks about open flame, welders, cutting torches, etc. I burned weeds this last week as a prevention to a bigger fire. Tough decision. Floyd Chief Chenault, burn bans very seldom do any good, but it makes the commissioners think that they're doing something good for the county, so it's all right with me.
Darwin.
The Dora Chief Luscombe, I was ready the last time. And Chief Kathy says he's good with whatever the commissioners decide. So I know it's a tough decision. I'm covered up in tumbleweeds. I need to burn. If we could ban idiots, we'd all be a lot better off. But I'll stand for any questions if anyone has any.
Does anyone have a question for Chief Lane?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Well, I'm like you. I like to clean up my weeds, but I'm going to take our fire chiefs from their word. They're the ones dealing with it to see it. So with that, I will make the motion to declare an extreme drought and fire danger emergency in Roosevelt County.
I'll second that, Mr. Chairman.
What What's that, Ms. Hamilton?
So just to clarify, I included two because the last time that you had a fire ban, you adopted it as it was to begin with, and then you wanted to add the exception of agricultural burning being permitted.
That is
So-
our policy, I thought, on that now.
No, you have two different ones in your or in your packet that were sent. So the ordinance itself has that as an option. Y'all adopted that on the second take, like in January of 2020 or something. So I just need you to clarify which resolution, if you want to include that piece in there, because I have copies of both.
Well, I got my own. I will always believe that we need to add the agricultural use in there because there's going to be times that they have to be ready to get their crops in. And what control burn with contacting the chiefs, I have no problem with. So I would rather have the resolution that says agricultural exemption to clean feed sacks, not to cause any more.
And also,
Continue with second on Mr. Chairman's motion.
So I have the motion on the table right now to extreme drought and fire dangers with the agricultural exemption. It's been moved and seconded. We'll now do a roll call vote. Mr. Crowder, how do you vote? Mr. Sapp, yes?
yes.
5 yes votes.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Chief Lang, Chief Kathy, thank y'all for coming today and requesting that. Sure makes us feel a little easier when the professionals are here. Yeah, Darwin's a professional. All right, I love him. Going on to contracts, agreements, procurements. Item A, ratification of an application signature for Commissioner me, Shane Lee, for the 2022-23 Law Enforcement Protection Fund application. Javier Sanchez.
Good morning, Chairman. Good morning, Commissioners. I think you covered it all there, just in the title. So all we're doing is seeking ratification for the LEPF contract. This year it went up to 45,000 for equipment and 13,000 for education. So for the advanced education hours that we receive, I'll stand for any questions on it if anybody has any.
And I'll second Commissioner Dixon's motion. Mr. Crowder, how do you vote?
Yes.
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 5 yes votes. Motion passes. Moving on to item B, request a ratification of change of order for law enforcement complex security systems for 28,000 with APIC Solutions. Ms. Hamilton and Mr. Sanchez. I'm getting all tongue tied today.
Yes, Commissioner. So included in your packet was the agreement. This is something that I worked with Lieutenant Sanchez on. The company had put this forward about a year and a half ago, and we just never received it. I never received it up in my office at this point. And so when they began installing all the cameras at the detention center and everything, it was like, hey, we're missing the part of what we need to be doing for the sheriff's office. So that's what's included in this quote. Both myself and Lieutenant Sanchez had a conference call with the contractor to ensure that the cameras are what they need and the placement and such. They'll work directly with the lieutenant on those. But this is just a minor change order to that agreement that we already have with the 80 cameras so far that have been installed at the detention center. We just want to ensure that they were installing these at the same time they were on site doing detention, because we certainly didn't want them to leave and then try to get them back in after waiting so many months to get them to the detention center. We needed this to happen while they were here.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move to approve agenda item 9B as presented by Lieutenant Sanchez and Ms. Hamilton.
Second.
I mean, second to accept the change of order for the law enforcement security system. Mr. Lopez, how do you vote?
Yes.
Miss
Yes.
Commissioner? Yes. 5 yes
Yes.
votes.
Thank y'all.
I thought I heard it. On to item C, request approval of memorandum of agreement with administrative offices of the courts for $52,495 for the pilot project grant application focused on mental health first responder training. Ms. Hamilton.
Yes, Commissioners. So very, very excited. I've talked with you some about this as it is a pilot project that we applied for. We were very pleased to receive funding. This is a unique project that we worked closely with our compliance, DWI, and our MAP program, detention center, law enforcement. We really wanted to ensure that we were complementing the programs that we already had in place. We aren't looking to add a bunch of new stuff. We just simply don't have the capacity for that. What we want to do is complement what we already have in place and have the infrastructure to support. So for this grant agreement, you'll see it's $52,495. And the majority of this grant included in there was our project application form that Ms. Flores helped get it submitted for us. But it highlights the need for additional training specific to mental health crisis for our law enforcement and first responders. So that's something that we're going to be able to offer. We worked very closely with our non-judicial district judge, Donna Maurer. She had to sign off on this and be in agreement because it's a joint project, again, with the administrative offices of the court. So all of that was included in your packet with the application and the process. We're asking for approval here. And then we're looking forward to being able to roll out a lot of that. We will have minor overtime. You'll see there's about $19,500 in there for personnel time, so that once we get them trained, we can have like both the police department and the sheriff's office will have specialized trained law enforcement agents to be able to go out on these behavioral health, mental health crisis calls, so that ideally we can really help in the response, and that we can begin to transition away from just taking them straight to the ER or straight to the detention center. We really want to make sure that we connect them with the community resources that we already have in place. So again, very complimentary and very pilot. So we're just trying this and really focusing on the training to begin with and investing in that aspect. And it will be open. And we've talked to several entities, but we're going to have it opened up to all of our first responders that want to come in. And there's a peer type situation where it's law enforcement as well as mental health that will be able to provide that specialized training.
Mr. Chairman, real quick, we're mandated to do this type of training every 2 years at Mental Health Resources. And I would highly recommend that we fully support this. But my question, Amber, is I know you said first responders, law enforcement, and so forth, and I know that it's a pilot project. So with that, is there any way we could expand it to have all county employees go through this type of training? It's very, very beneficial for everyone and anyone in this day and age.
So great question, Commissioner. So one thing that we do through our mandatory training policy and process is we actually include mental health training. This is very specialized toward law enforcement and first responders, and the curriculum is as such. They have to go through the process of getting the CEUs and such. So I don't think this would fit for all of that, but we will continue to look at that. We utilize local GovU, New Mexico counties, and several of those for the specialized training that you're talking about, as well as some of the external sources like mental health first aid that United Way does. I know we utilize that in our detention center and such. So we do bring in some of those for county employees. It's just this and the curriculum and the programming was focused on the first responders, but
Perfect.
we
Thank
will
you.
continue to look and expand. Yes,
Thank
sir.
you, Amber.
Mhm.
This
Chair,
yes,
move we approve 9C.
it's been moved and seconded that we approve the memorandum of agreement for the administration offices of $52,000 for the pilot project mental health first responding. All those, well, let's do a roll.
Yes.
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 5 yes votes. Moving on to item D. Request approval of contract extension with White Rock Crushing LLC through June the 30th, 2022. Ms. Rivera.
Good morning, Commissioners. We did receive a written notification from White Rock Crushing that they, with their intent not to renew the contract for the upcoming year, They have agreed to extend the contract through June 30th of this fiscal year to give us time to go back out to invitation for bid for the crushed caliche for our road materials. With that included in your packet is the contract extension. I asked for your approval to continue this contract through June 30th of this year.
This doesn't change any of the pricing we had with them.
No,
He's
sir.
just going to stay
No,
even with the
sir.
price of fuel.
No, it'll change once we get, of course,
Mhm.
invitation to bid out there.
Mr. Chair. Move
Yes.
we approve 9D.
We're moving second that we approve the extension with White Rock Crushing. Commissioner Lopez.
Mr. Chairman, just real quick.
I've got a quick question, just a curiosity question. Why is it that they don't want to no longer renew the contract? Did they state that? Was
No,
it,
that was not stated. No, they have the option to renew each year, and it was
they just chose not to?
correct.
Okay, thank
Well,
you.
and Commissioner Lopez, if we can add, we did meet with them and it is related to the
Fuel
fuel because we
prices.
do not have a fuel surcharge worked into this or anything along those. So then negotiation becomes very problematic because we have to go off the original invitation to bid. So with the fuel prices like it is, this is something we're going to have to rework with the new bid
Okay.
process. Yes, sir.
Thank you. That makes sense.
With that, with your vote.
Yes.
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 5 yes votes. All right, we're going to now go in. We need an executive session today. I need a motion to go.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. We're going to executive session. Mr. Lopez, how do you?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Rod? All right, we are now going to go into executive session to pursuant to 10-15-1 New Mexico SA, limited personnel matters, attorney-client privileges, information pertaining to threatening or pending litigation, specifically Hernandez versus Roosevelt County, Taylor versus Roosevelt County, Porter versus Roosevelt County, Aguilar, Padilla, Roosevelt County, Plummer, Roosevelt County, and discuss attorney-client privileges relating and pending threatening litigation. Hey, the next time, everybody, next time I'm reading that, let's wait till I get finished so I don't hear myself.